gentlemen, welcome to another episode. This here is Cypher. He's going to be doing reviews with me. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Cypher, your resident gas gun guru.
Fair enough.
Gear whore.
He thinks he's tactical, people. Tactical. Alright, so today we're going to be going over the KWA MP9, or the MP9? The M93 R.
The Beretta M93 R. Here today we have the representation of the original produced by Beretta back in 1977. The designation is 9 for 9mm and 3 for Model 3. Raffica is Italian for burst. It was originally produced to give more firepower to local law enforcement agencies.
Yet they never picked it up. I wonder why.
No, some did, but it obviously didn't really go anywhere because you're like, oh, well, yeah, that's perfectly good MP5. It works a lot better than that. So
yeah.
They never really took off. Same with the Glock 18C. It never really took off because the platform is not really suitable for sustained fire. So.
Yeah. Now, as with most KWAs, this does have a plastic slide and plastic barrel, which makes it a lot better for recoil as well as gas consumption.
Yeah.
The thing I wasn't happy with, and I don't know about you, but was the trades that KWA put on it. They could have put something a little bit better, but obviously they're trying to put their name rather than the manufacturers and avoid any.
Yeah, KWA recently has always tried to put their logo instead of the actual company logo to avoid any confusion with the international shipping. So obviously they're not going to start putting Colt or Beretta or Glock logos or anything anymore because of all the trouble they've gotten into in the past and problems with importing them in general, especially for larger quantities from stateside companies. That's correct.
Now, we did pick this one up over at Airsplat. They're running about 170 to 180 depending on availability, I know that. They actually shipped it pretty quick. We only took, what, 1 day?
Yeah, they're local, so
yeah. It wasn't that bad. A great thing about it, it does have 3-round burst and semi-auto that you can see right on here. But one thing the manual does say, but it doesn't show in anything else, is it does shoot full auto. If you look, it's got a 3 positioning showing you.
So it's this first time is single, the middle in between is full auto, and the bottom is 3-round burst, and it works pretty well actually. But it doesn't really have any benefit. Actual burst fire usually is a higher rate of fire on most actual weapons because it doesn't have to use a slow rate of fire to prevent heat consumption. So.
Right. Now, the nice thing that KSE did make, excuse me, Cypher, is they did make this stock attachment. Makes it a little easier and more comfortable.
It's pretty simple to put on at least, but it's representative of the actual version. Actually, let's take this out. Put that right in there. Pull it out, snaps right out like so. Pop the little handle down. And there we go.
Now you've got a built-in SMG that you can convert from a hand pistol to an SMG in under 5 minutes.
Now that's the other major difference they did with the Beretta is that it's a huge, this large trigger guard and this handle is meant to put your thumb through it like so you have a full front grip. Unfortunately, the stock is kind of flimsy. I mean, it's made of steel or alloy of some kind, but it's not really, I mean, it's very, very loose.
It's basically just to give you a feeling in your shoulder, not to actually support the weapon.
And it's not very comfortable either.
Yeah, that was very true.
It doesn't really provide any benefit either in practice because obviously it has no recoil and you're not actually holding up against burst fire of actual 9mm.
It does give a nice look to the gun, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But as far as functionality, you can operate the gun perfectly fine without it. One thing I did really like about it is the barrel extension, giving the compensated look, which will show you later on in the video. You'll see it actually does gas escape.
Yeah, especially on colder days when gas just doesn't work that well.
Kind of like today, but
yeah, it's only about 65 right now in this room currently.
Yeah, so here in the studio it's 65, but outside we're probably looking at 50.
Yeah.
So
not exactly warm today.
Right.
Now, spring weather in California.
When we do test it, we are going to be running it on propane rather than green gas. Main reason, we're out of green gas.
So we didn't buy green gas recently.
Well, now, I know a lot of you can't stand the box reviews, but I'm going to go ahead and get it out of the way just so you can see what it comes with. You're going to get your owner's manual, your warranty card, and your registration card. You're also going to get a wonderful KWA sticker, small box of silicone oil, which 90% of the time has leaked on the way over from.
Yeah, but it is nice. KWA is pretty known because they actually at least include that silicone oil, which a lot of companies don't, and a little tiny bag of BBs.
Right, and you also comes with
their traditional KWA hop-up is the same as every other. It's a little tiny wheel on the inside of the barrel that you turn with their special key, which is perfectly fine, I think, because it works and you're not really going to adjust it that often.
Right, it's a lot easier than most WeTech guns, like I've shown you in the past. Adjusting the hop-up on a WeTech can be a little time-consuming. Pull the slide off, change it, put the slide back on. This way you pull the rack back, do adjustment, put it back, fire it, see how it's doing.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, even though they say, oh, it requires a tool to do that. Well,
So,
it doesn't matter.
Also, you gotta remember, KWA does recommend using a .25 BB with this. So when we chrono it, we are going to be running a .25 in it to give you an accurate representation of what it requires. We'll also be chronoing it with a 0.2 gram, so you can see what you'll most commonly get with it through a basic set of BBs.
Personally, I use .25 simply because they're more reliable in a lot of other more situations. But .2s are really cheap and really common, so you're probably going to find them more often than not anyway.
You'll also get a higher rate of fire with a .2 than a .25.
Not necessarily.
And a higher FPS.
Higher FPS, yeah.
So why don't we get this in the range, get it on chrono so you can see what that looks like.
You always have the mag upright, so the pin's always at the top. Load it like so. 2, 3. Short bursts are recommended, so it does not condense when you fill it. Usually it will stop making a sound when it ceases filling. Let's do this old-fashioned way. Locks in the bottom. What are these again?
This downrange, you saw it came in right around 350 to 360 with
360 .25s,
with
yeah.
.25s, okay.
Weather's favorable currently. We're not exactly cold, but it's like 65, 68 right now. It's not bad.
Yeah, it shot pretty quick too. It had what, about a 14 to 15 rate rounds per second?
Roughly the same as most regular Saga AGs, so right about 15 balls per second.
So it's a good performer. It'll be great for a CQB field. Most places that run a pistol night probably will let you run it in full auto or 3-round burst.
Right.
But, as far as semi-auto, it's going to make it in pass through there. Now, we still have some propane in it, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we show them what 3-round burst looks like? Just so they can get a visual on it. Let's pull you over here on the light so they can see the action here.
Fortunately, 3-round burst isn't exactly anything different other than a limited full auto fire. So,
right.
Full auto is pretty much the same. Oops. Propane doesn't have that much condensation, luckily.
Yeah, so you're not getting the evaporation that we've seen in the green gas before when we've tested it. Overall, it performed really well. Now, normally, you've seen me do a teardown on these. I don't recommend doing them. They're not easy to do.
Well, teardown's always the same. There's always the disconnector right here. Just push the pin in. This little thing rotates. The slide goes back. It slides right off. And with most KWA guns, especially ones that replicate a generation over 10 years old, the spring, the recoil spring, which you'll see, which is what that goes along this rod right here, it's pretty much a loose piece. So you just kind of have to stick it in the right place.
First time we tore it apart, the spring literally launched across the tool bench.
Yeah.
Made for a good melee weapon.
Yeah. Either way, it's not. You don't really need to ever. As long as you keep it oiled, or if you use regular green gas, it's got oil in it, you're fine.
Right. Now, one thing I did like about it was the overall weight. Since it does, like I said before, it has a plastic slide and plastic barrel, it does lower the weight of the item.
The slide has a very large chunk in the back, so it's quite heavy in the back. The rest of it is not. The barrel is obviously plastic because that was the traditional design they used.
Right. Now, the other thing I like is the extended magazine on it, which is used to, partially with that stock, but it does add for some more control.
Yeah, unfortunately, it replicates a design that was originally produced by KSC, and the original design had a finger extension right here, which matched the grooves at the front stippling of the front strap here. And so I'm kind of disappointed they didn't actually do that. They just kind of like negated that entirely.
Right.
In theory, there's supposed to be basically a chunk on the bottom which replicates the bottom of this grip, and it's nice and big. And actually, it's kind of short because my pinky almost gets on it right here. It's not very big in the first place.
Now, overall with this gun, my personal feeling on it, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Performs well. Is it something I can live without? Yes. Is it something that if I had it, would I use it? Most likely. Is it something I'm going to seek out? No.
It's mostly for fans of Berettas in general. Maybe people who like Modern Warfare obviously might like it. It's
traditional COD softers.
Right, yeah. COD softers, yeah.
Exactly.
Couple things. It does replicate one that already existed. The original, actually, by KSC had two versions, the first and the second, which had burst, and the other one was full auto. They didn't actually have that middle switch, which is a nice improvement by KWA. Unfortunately, they had their ugly, really ugly trademarks, which kind of really detract. I mean, if it was just imprinted, not white, it'd be nice. I mean, and overall, it's a nice update to their NS2 system, which is the other major improvement.
Right.
So it works pretty well, but the magazine is also thinner than the Glock 18. So it holds about the same as a regular magazine anyway, out of a Glock or any other older magazine design. Holds all the other KWA improvements generally, though. I give it about an 8 out of 10 because it's a novelty. It's very nicely done novelty. It still works as a weapon. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you're not running a holster at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'll fit in a holster. I mean,
it'll fit in universal holsters.
I mean, it'll fit here. Not very easily. It's there, and I mean I can pull out and.
But they
no
generally,
issues.
yeah.
But in all honesty, you and I both prefer running a Serpa or a Safari Land.
But generally speaking, most holsters are built to specifications. Like this is for a USP. This is by Safari Land, and so it's built to the same profile of the gun and fits extremely well. And that's generally what you want to go for in a holster. Unfortunately, there's pretty much no way you can fit this in a regular holster of that type because of the trigger guard, and because of this large bump on the side, which is hard to see. But there's a very large bump on the side where the mechanism is for the automatic fire,
right?
Because all the fire mechanism is in the frame instead of in the slide.
So overall, we got an 8 out of 10, which isn't a bad gun. Very well working. Yeah, it's a well working gun. It's a decent price. Again, you can find this over at Airsplat.com, about $180. If you're looking for something novel, something fun to have, go for it.
If you like Berettas, you'll like this gun.
Absolutely.
Berettas in general, you'll like this gun. If you don't, you're not going to like it because the grip is really fat. That's really the complaint with the real steel Beretta is that no one likes the grip because it is massive compared to any other gun on the market, including Glocks. The grip is just huge.
Right. So with that being said, I'm Dean Donovan. This is Cypher. Remember, Airsoft is not a crime. Play hard. Play safe.